Hi friends, it's Lauren Taylor. Thanks for joining me in my craft room today. I'm grateful to have you here. It's the 25th of the month, so we're going to be creating with some holiday products. I have some scrapbook.com exclusives. There is a live stream that goes up today. Today is July 25th, 2024. So there is a bundle right now with the Snowflakes black and white rub-ons and some die sets, and I'm going to be using holiday banners too from that die set and rub-on bundle. I'll also be using the thick and thin strips A2 cover plate, my snowflake dies, and the newer holiday A2 pattern paper pad. Now, while I'm getting all of my supplies ready, I do want to apologize. Abigail brought home a cold, and I am trying not to just sleep all day. I did get this card made, and then I am doing voiceover, but after that, I think I'll go take a nap. But I am a little under the weather, so hopefully my voice isn't too terrible sounding. I feel like I sound okay, just a bit nasally, but hopefully it's not too bad for you. So I took the striped piece of paper. This is one of my favorite patterns from the Holiday A2 pattern paper pack, and I trimmed a piece of the white snowflake rub-ons that will fit on this A2 piece, and I'm running it through my die cutting machine just like I would a die cut. I have my platform, my magic mat, and then on top of the pattern paper with the rub-on is just my plate, and as you can see, it applies the perfect amount of pressure to get the rub-on onto the pattern paper. I'm just carefully peeling it back in case any of the rub-ons didn't get enough pressure. I would be able to lay it back down and use the popsicle stick or another tool, but it did a great job on its own. I'm going to use this pattern paper with the rub-ons to be the background of my card and the larger or the thicker strips from the thick and thin strips plate. It is A2 in size, so I'm going to use some mint tape to help keep my paper in place behind the die. That way I don't accidentally risk it moving and messing up my background. Again, I just need the thicker strips, so I'm going to peel all of these apart and do my best to keep them in the same order that I die cut them in. Luckily with the stripes, it's pretty easy to see. And then I'm going to save a couple of these little tiny thinner strips to help me with adhering these down, as you'll see in just a moment, but I'm going to set those aside for now. Instead of die cutting out this red piece of paper with the same die, I'm just going to glue the larger strips onto this piece of cardstock, so that way I don't have to puzzle piece too much together, and I'll show you how you can do this with having nice clean spacing and even spacing. So I'm going to start with the bottom strip, and I'm using my tape runner to apply adhesive to the back. And I'll just line this up to one end of my red cardstock. So this will be either the bottom or top of my background. And I'll go ahead and repeat this process with the top or the other side. Now I'm grabbing the next thicker strip, and I'm going to use a thinner strip to help me with making sure I get my background spaced out. So this next strip spaced out. I'm going to use a magnet to help me a bit here. I was having trouble getting that thinner strip to stay in place. So there we go. I've placed the next large one, and I can peel out that thin one, and it's evenly spaced. I did that for the other two strips on the other side, and this one is a bit in the middle, and I just kind of eyeballed the spacing on that one since it just fit perfectly centered. Now I'm going to work on some die cutting. I'm going to grab three of the smaller ones from the Snowflakes Decorative Die Set, and I'm going to die cut them out of this fun pink kind of snowflakey polka dotty kind of pattern paper. So I'll go ahead and get that onto my magic mat and run that through my die cut machine. I do recommend if you have a shim, like a metal shim for these dies, they are very intricate. I didn't do that the first time, so I will end up having to run this through again. And I just used some small scissors anywhere where it didn't cut perfectly through. Again, not having that shim, or I'm sorry, again, having the shim just helps a lot with these really intricate dies. I'm going to do a dry run of the layout. I know I kind of want my snowflakes in two corners, and I'm going the same direction as the stripes in the pattern paper. I also want to cut out my Happy Holidays sentiment from the holiday banners too. So I'm going to get out the Happy and Holidays stripes or strips to die cut those out of the same pink cardstock, and then the more banner style dies will be die cut out of white cardstock. So I'll go ahead and get Happy Holidays die cut from the same pink cardstock, again just using my magic mat, and I'm actually running this through my Big Shot switch, which is just off camera. And then I will grab some scrap white paper and die cut the Happy Holidays banner pieces. And I'm going to cut those 2 times so there's just a little bit more stability when I glue these on. Stability and dimension. So let me go ahead and put my dies away. I do try to be good about putting things away as I create. I do make a large mess. Luckily it's mostly off camera so you can't see it. I'm getting my glue press ready, and I'm going to start by gluing the 2 layers of the white die cuts first. So just following the design of the sentiment, and then also adding some glue to the banner string, I guess you could say. And again, gluing those 2 layers together. When I'm done with Happy, I will move on to gluing the holidays banners together. To glue on the pink letters onto the banners, I didn't really want to glue or add glue to each letter individually. I just thought that was going to take longer than I wanted to for it to take. So I'm actually just going to add glue to the centers of the letter. Having this fine point tip on my glue press really helped with that. So just adding a little bit of glue to each of those white shadow layers of my sentiment banner, and then using my craft pick to pick up each letter and just placing it onto the adhesive. Now I know they're not perfectly centered yet, but this is just a quick way to get them all onto the banner, and then I'll use my fingers to get those centered so the white around each letter looks even. And then I'll just press down and make sure they are nicely adhered. After Happy, I repeat that same process for Holidays, and now that I have all of the elements of my card, I'm going to glue everything together. So I'll start with figuring out where I want my banner placed, and I know that I want my snowflakes going across the card. So I'm going to start with just adding some liquid adhesive to my first snowflake in the upper right hand corner, and then I'll add adhesive to the larger snowflake and add that to the bottom left, and then my third snowflake. I will then move on to the banners, so I'll add liquid adhesive, very similar to how I layered the 2 white pieces together. So I'll get those added to the card. I'm doing my best to make it straight and even so the ends of the banners do reach the edge of the A2 panel. And I have Happy and Holidays. Now, as I finished and photographed this card, I didn't get it on a card base yet, and you'll see why, because I'm going to add some pops of color next, and I was a silly goose and should have put it on my card base before adding a liquid adhesive or a liquid embellishment. So I think I might trim down the panel just a bit to add a little bit of a white border of the card base. This is a very busy background, and the sentiment, I feel like it pops off enough, but I think it also would look really pretty with a white border around the panel. Here's a final look at how my card turned out. I added those pops of colors to the insides of all, or the centers of all the snowflakes and around the snowflakes as well. Here's one more look, but I hope you enjoyed this month's Christmas on the 25th project video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!